Thank you, everyone. I would now read out the Law Day Charter that was prepared when this Supreme Court Bar started the Law Day function as it was earlier known. We hold that law is the common heritage and trust of mankind, that administration of justice is one of the fundamental functions of the state, and that judges and lawyers owe their allegiance by the traditions, training and tenets of their noble profession to the cause and quest of justice. We believe that the discipline of law is indispensably essential for the authoritative and peaceful resolution of all conflicts, for ensuring the orderly development of society, for maintaining the rule of law, for promoting social justice, for safeguarding liberty, and for protecting basic human rights and fundamental freedoms. We affirm that the independence and impartiality of the judiciary and the freedom and independence of the legal profession constitute the sheet anchor of social order, individual freedom, and equal justice in our society. We acknowledge the social responsibilities and the professional obligations of law in public interest and public service. We emphasize in particular the need to ensure equal and universal access of the people to the system of justice, especially to the poor, the weak, the deprived, and the downtrodden, the need for legal literacy and legal aid, and the need for social audit and evaluation of laws, and for scientific, rational, and pragmatic law reform. We pledge and dedicate ourselves on this Constitution Day to the premises and postulates of this proclamation. These were the words which we gave to ourselves, and with immense pride on behalf of the Bar Association, these words have been followed in letter and spirit. The Constitution has been upheld by both the institutions, the Bar and the Bench, and today we all gather like every year to celebrate the spirit that lives within us, to ensure that justice is given to the weak, to the downtrodden, to the citizen of this country. With these words, may I now request Ms. Gagandeep Kaur to kindly come on the dais and present a bouquet to Honorable the Chief Justice of India, welcoming him to this function. May I also request Mr. Bheem Pratap Singh to kindly come and present a bouquet of flowers to Honorable Minister of Law and Justice, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, please. May I request Ms. Shashi Juneja to kindly come on the dais and present a bouquet of flowers on behalf of the entire Bar Association to Mr. Mukul Rohtgi, Attorney General for India. Mr. Mukul Rohtgi has always led from the front. He's always stood with the Bar Association, with the lawyers of the Bar Association, and his presence is most valued by all of us. I would quote Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. When this constitution was enacted, he said, "I feel that the constitution is workable, it is flexible, and it is strong enough to hold the country together, both in times of peace and in wartime. Indeed, if I may say so, if things go wrong under the new constitution, the reason will not be that we had a bad constitution. What we will have to say is that the man was vile." So these were the beautiful words, and I would say that every person has contributed to uphold these principles. May I now request Mr. Mukul Rohtgi, the Attorney General for India, to come and address the gathering here. Can we have a round of applause for him, please? Thank you.
My Lord, the Chief Justice of India, Union Minister for Law, Mr. Ravi Shankar, Mr. Sinha, and Mr. Bhatia on the dais, judges of the Supreme Court, Justice Mishra, a recently retired judge, Justice Dave, senior lawyers, junior lawyers and friends. It's a great morning, a sunny morning, but I must tell Mr. Bhatia that he has blocked the sun. Should have allowed the sun to come in. It is not only a day of celebration, I think it is also a day of remembrance and paying homage to a great document, an inviolable document called the Constitution. And obviously remember the makers of the Constitution, whom I am proud to say were a large body of lawyers led by Dr. Ambedkar, who led by the front. The Constitution has been described by the Supreme Court in various cases, but I will only tell you two of them. In S.P. Gupta, it is described as a living document and a fundamental law of the land. In Keshavanand Bharti, it is described as a supreme document. All the organs owe their existence to the Constitution. It is described as a social document, not merely a political one. It is described as a vehicle of life of a nation. It is also described as a framework of great government powers. The point is, why did we need a constitution? The historical background says it all. A motley group of princely states working as fiefdoms, half of India under British control. So when it came together, it required a document to bring everybody together into a cohesive whole. That is why a written constitution was thought of. We took examples in our constitution from America, from England, from Ireland, from France, from Japan, and we brought together a great document. One more thing, since you are all lawyers, you know the background of the Constitution, what it contains. So I don't want to go back into what the Constitution contains, except to say that it basically contains a separation of powers between the three organs, providing a delicate balance in a federal structure. Our Constitution is not purely federal like America, but is quasi-federal with a strong center and a tilt in favor of the center. When I was looking at some earlier documents I found, why do we celebrate Republic Day on 26th of January? There is an interesting history which I want to touch upon. On 26th of January 1930, Pandit Nehru, on the banks of the river Ravi in Lahore, gave a call for a Purna Swaraj, that is full independence. And from 26th of January 1930, it was so celebrated till 1947. In fact, Pandit Nehru and others made a request to Lord Mountbatten that we would like independence to be on 26th of January 1948 to mark the celebration starting from 1930. But because of historical events, one could not wait for independence and it was preponed to 15th of August. It is for this reason that though the Constitution was adopted in November 1949, that we chose to celebrate the formal declaration of the Republic and bringing into force the Constitution on January 26, 1950. These are 2 days, that is 15th August and 26th January, which are seen as and celebrated as national days with unfurling of the flag. One more aspect I wanted to touch, and you know most of it. The Constituent Assembly had many committees, and one of which was the drafting committee. It was headed by Dr. Ambedkar, who rose on the strength of education from a caste-ridden society. As a Dalit, he obtained education. He brought himself up, went abroad and did further education and got a doctorate. He was also a principal of the Government Law College for 2 years, Bombay, from 1935 to 1937. And he unceasingly, for a period of nearly 3 years, spent innumerable hours in drafting the Constitution, and the debates are full of his effort. And I exhort every lawyer to read the debates, not only to see what was the intention behind the article, but to see how much these people toiled for a free India which was to come into being in 1947 or 1950. People like, apart from Dr. Ambedkar, Rajendra Prasad, the first president, Sir Ralladi Krishna Swamy, K. M. Munshi, all these stalwarts, and I am proud to say a large number of them belong to the legal fraternity. One important, interesting thing I found, and which I must share with you. Dr. Ambedkar appeared in 2 cases in the Supreme Court in the 50s. Obviously, he was the champion for the downtrodden. But the 2 interesting cases in which he appeared, I found, are reported in 1952 Supreme Court 252. That is Kameshwar Singh's case, the famous Bihar land reforms case, which was struck down by the Patna High Court, came to the Supreme Court. And interestingly, Dr. Ambedkar appeared for Zamindars. The second interesting case I found is reported in 1953 Supreme Court 179. That was the case where some people were accused of corruption. Having lost in all the courts, Dr. Ambedkar appeared for the accused in those cases. Be that as it may, he lost both those cases. Lastly, the only thing which I wish to touch, and I want to say that is my personal opinion, and I respectfully submit, and I like all to consider and ponder. The delicate balance of the Constitution was disturbed in the 70s. We know the events of the 70s, which ultimately led to emergency and so on. The balance was sought to be restored by the judiciary in the 80s and the 90s. But I personally feel in restoring the balance, the pendulum swung the other way. And in my respectful submission, the balance is yet to be restored. So I would leave these thoughts with you, that we should all take a solemn pledge, whether it's politicians, lawyers, judges, common man, anybody, that we must restore the balance of the Constitution, its equilibrium, which Dr. Ambedkar had thought of. And it is in that sense alone that we can pay homage to the great document, the main architect of which was Dr. Ambedkar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The annual Constitution Day function gives us an opportunity to collectively reflect on the state of the legal system in our country. At a symbolic level, it also commemorates the adoption of our Constitution, and in doing so, it reminds us of the values and ideals that are enshrined in it. With those words, I would like to request Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, the Honorable Minister for Law and Justice, to kindly come and address the gathering, sir. Can we have a round of applause? Thank you. Honorable the
Chief Justice of India, Attorney General Mr. Rohatgi, Senior Judge of the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Justice Deepak Mishra, Honorable Justice Dave, a distinguished retired judge of this court, Mr. Sinha, Mr. Bhatia, Mr. P.P. Rao, other eminent lawyers, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed very happy that law ministers are used to come on the law day, but today it is being called the Constitution Day, which our government rightly decided, because 26th of November is the day when we gave unto ourselves the great Constitution of India with this profound preamble. You know, my experience of observing the evolution of India's Constitution is with many hats. First and foremost is obviously as a lawyer, then as a lawmaker for the last 17 years, as a minister in the Vajpayee government and again, and also as an activist from my student days in the famous JP movement and also fighting against the emergency. Now it is more than 30 years that I have been campaigning in the country. I have seen, I have seen democracy at work when I have been in charge of 8 states of India on behalf of my party. And what after 17 years I see India's constitution's evolution. It has brought a profound stability in India. And all the naysayers who said that India will break, India is not fit for democracy, how an illiterate Indian can vote, have been so turned out to be wrong by the sheer march of the ethos of our Constitution. And the biggest statement of our Constitution I see when I notice a great activist seeking to break away from India after becoming a member of Lok Sabha, seeking his oath under the Constitution, pledging for the unity and integrity of India. That is a profound march which the Indian Constitution has ensured for us. It has made the people aware who they are and what they owe to themselves. How it has happened. And I always say, this phenomenal journey of India's constitutional evolution, is it a document of social justice? It is a document of political empowerment? Or it is a document of seeking to metamorphose India with this profound civilizational heritage into a modern nation where people's power is the most dominant power? And therefore today is the occasion to salute our founding fathers. They were great leaders. I must say, the more I go through the pages of India's Constitutional Assembly debate, the more I feel proud as to what destiny had given a litany of outstanding men of intellectual fiber, profound commitment, and extraordinary foresight and vision for which way they want India to go. I remember there is a point in that debate, Sardar Patel was monitoring the committee because whenever there used to be a dispute, he used to stay on this Motilal Nehru Marg, York Road, and he used to walk in Lodi Gardens, and contentious issues used to be left to him to be resolved. There was a big debate, why should we need minority rights in India? Partition has taken place. And he counseled, no, respecting minorities is a sign of civility, of dignity. And India's heritage is to respect all. These kinds of foresight I see, you feel so proud of the statesmanship of those people. The second thing which I notice is, India's freedom movement revolutionary fervor was never a part of the mainstream. The mainstream was constitutionalism. And it must go to the credit of Gandhiji that he